Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes Report for the past 24 hours in the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine. And there's a lot of frontline changes because Deep State UA has updated their mapping. And interestingly, yesterday they actually updated the map, but they did not put a post to talk about it. And so I didn't know that they actually updated the map. So I have checked through the entire mapping. And then after that, they also publish a new update. So with some further updates. So there is a lot of frontline changes. So there is frontline changes. We go through the whole list first. There's frontline changes over at Veseloy. This is the only one that is going well for Ukraine. Everything else is red. There's frontline changes over at Kolesnivkivka, Krylyakivka, Pischane, Novoselivsky, Stemekivka, Myazozarivka, Andrievka, Makievka, Toretsk, Sukurine, Zelane Pershi, Maximilianivka, Georgivka, as well as Voleda. So we go into the Veseloy. So according to Russian information, Ukrainians have success in the region of Veseloy again as they counter-attack or re-attack this region again and regain part of the territory that they previously have taken and lost. So now the Ukrainians are back again. So which invalidate the idea that the Ukrainians may not have even penetrated through the border region around Novi Put. So this is update, the frontline change over the Veseloy region. This is based on Russian information. The next frontline change, we jump to the Pischane front at the Kolesnivkivka region. So, or in the Pischane region, sorry. So the Russian forces have advanced towards Kolesnivkivka. This information is mapped by Ukrainian mapping that the Russians have some success in this area here as they advance towards Kolesnivkivka. So, let's say we ignore this street. The Russian front line is right now less than 1 kilometers away from the main street at Kolesnivkivka. So this is a very important frontline change, which established the Russians now able to strike both Kolesnivkivka and Krylyakivka at will. The next frontline change is just south of this position, where the Russian forces have straightened the front line around here, which makes perfect sense. And so let's draw this in. Maybe I can use this for thumbnail. So, and the Russians also have expanded their control of Pischane region based on Ukrainian mapping. So because the Ukrainian mapping, they do not acknowledge the Russian claims, which went way further from this area here. So anyway, so the discrepancy is around here. So we shall see how this continue to develop. There's a lot of advances around this area, and to suggest that the Ukrainians are still in this region here feels a bit unlikely because this is a bit too deep into Russian. Is in the fire pocket. It's surrounded in so too many sides. So I doubt this is going to be the case, but let's continue to wait and see how this develops. Then we have frontline changes in this entire sector here. So around the Stemekivka, Novoselivsky region, Russian forces have gained more control in the southwest of Novoselivsky. And around Stemekivka, the Russian forces also have gained control of the southern part of Stemekivka. This not yet confirmed the capture of Stemekivka yet, as the Russians do not have full entire control of the town yet, but it's getting very close. And south of Myazozarivka, the Russian forces also seem to have gained some grounds. At least the Ukrainian disclaimed this area here. The Russians already claim to have captured Myazozarivka. So let me zoom in a bit. So this is the Stemekivka region. As you can see, there's still certain part of Stemekivka that is not confirmed. And then south of Myazozarivka, the Russians seems to have taken some grounds around here. But the Russian lines, based on Russian mappings, already further, as the Russians already claimed capture of Myazozarivka. South of Myazozarivka, over in the Andrievka region, Russian forces is now confirmed to have captured Andrievka according to the Ukrainian mapping. This is now confirmed, as the Russians have now captured including all this entire forest, heading towards Vishneve. So Vishnevy is already declared to be captured by the Russian Defense Ministry. However, the Ukrainian mapping currently map it that the Russians have only captured Andriivka, and Vishnevy is under a gray zone tentatively. But ultimately, this is still massive progress from the Russian side, and very important changes right here. And so this is also one of the unreported changes. They lost too much ground that I think that maybe they just don't want to talk about it, so no one knows unless you check. So anyway, after Andriivka, we jump to Makiivka, all the way further south. At Makiivka, there's one slight change. Russian forces geolocated in the forest just outside of Makiivka. So this is just some slight frontline change. This is actually not a capture, but more like the invalidation of Ukrainian claims, as the Russian mapping have go way further. So let's see how this continue to be developed. The next frontline change, we jump all the way to the New York front. So over at the New York front, at Torex, there is a very slight change. This is based on Ukrainian mapping. The way how they draw this area is just slightly different. So just a slight thing. So it's not very particularly important. Very small change as Torex. And then we jump to Sukhiriny over in the Pokrov front. So this is Pokrov. South of Pokrov front as Sukhiriny, Russian forces is now confirmed by Ukrainian mapping to have captured the entire eastern part of Sukhiriny, and as well as the northern outskirts of Sukhiriny, as the Russians continue to push westward to get the Ukrainians out of Sukhiriny. So this battle continues. This is still not over yet. So that's all from Sukhiriny. And the next frontline change is nearby at Zeleny Pershi. So this Ukrainian mapping, this is also very big, is also underreported. So the Russian forces basically have taken all of this. This is actually disclaimed by the Ukrainian mapping that this area here is previously under Ukrainian control, at least based on the Ukrainian mapping. So now they claim that this is under Russian control. And yeah, so meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry also announced the capture of Zeleny Druhi, which is this one. So we have no mapping to reflect this just yet. So let's wait for more information. This is a continuation of the closure of the Nevelsky salient. So the Nevelsky salient, which Nevelsky is here, the salient is largely gone now. So yeah, quite an end of another chapter of the Ukraine war. And after Zeleny Pershi, over at Maximilianivka, we have some frontline change, as the Ukrainians admitted that there's some frontline changes over in Maximilianivka, as the Russians straighten the front line a little bit over in this area here. And one last frontline change just nearby. Russian forces have taken this tree line. This is already actually claimed by the Russian side. So it basically is just the Ukrainian mapping acknowledging the Russian mapping. So that's about it. And I believe this is there's one last frontline change. Over at Voleda, this is also an unreported change. So over at Voleda, the Russian forces have expanded the control in the northwest of Voleda, with the Russian forces continue to advance northward. And unlikely there's going to be Ukrainian forces in this pocket. So I don't think the Ukrainians are here. There's a high chance that the Russian line is actually way further up north, as the Russians slowly to moving closer and closer towards Bohov-Yevlenka, where the Ukrainians are holding the next line of defense. So anyway, that's it. So thank you for watching. This is the Frontline Changes report. I have no idea why my voice become like this. So anyway, check out the DPA open mic. We just finished a 6.5 hours discussion about everything that's happening around the world. Thank you for watching, and press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.